and the counter coup and the coup. There's a coup going on behind the scenes trying to take out Donald Trump, and then there's white hats, people predominantly in the military that are fighting against the other ones. And so I could be wrong. James thinks you think I'm crazy and I'm a conspiracy theorist.
No, there is a concerted effort to take down this president. There is a group of people in the FBI and the Justice Department and the intelligence agencies, think of this guy Brennan. Here's a guy who votes for the Communist Party and then somehow becomes the head of the CIA. Then he lies to Congress and gets away with it.
So the Clapper lied about Congress.
Yeah, all of these people, there is this class of people now who are sort of beyond any law, and all together they have been leaking like crazy to get rid of Trump.
I've got lots of YouTube videos. YouTube has been so egregious at censoring all the producers recently. There's a lot of people that I've been getting my news from, because I don't get it from the mainstream media anymore, because it's all corporate, politically correct oriented. You can't trust any of them. I mean, occasionally I'll get some decent news from Fox News, but I don't get good news from all of them. I mean, I don't get accurate news from a lot of them. And they have been systematically going out. If you are a conservative news producer, and you there's a lot of these people, they just started their own businesses on their YouTube channel, scouring the internet and finding news stories that the mainstream media is not reporting. And they've been given a strike, and then they get the second or third strike, which they're completely bogus, and then had their channel completely pulled down with all their content that they spent all that time producing.
Okay, but this doesn't have much to do with red pilling the TDS.
Yeah, it does. Red pilling the TDS, that's the way they need to start finding their news. You need to start finding your news on YouTube and just scouring the internet and trying to find your own. If you find a subject that interests you, like in voter fraud or in the counter coup and the coup, there's a coup going on behind the scenes trying to take out Donald Trump, and then there's white hats, people predominantly in the military that are fighting against the other ones. And so I could be wrong. James thinks you think I'm crazy and I'm a conspiracy theorist.
No, there is a concerted effort to take down this president. There is a group of people in the FBI and the Justice Department and the intelligence agencies, think of this guy Brennan. Here's a guy who votes for the Communist Party and then somehow becomes the head of the CIA. Then he lies to Congress and gets away with it.
So the Clapper lied about Congress.
Yeah, all of these people, there is this class of people now who are sort of beyond any law, and all together they have been leaking like crazy to get rid of Trump. There's that wonderful story about how the Trump transition team gets a visit from somebody in the NSA, warning them that every single
Admiral Rogers, I think it was.
Which I don't remember who it was. And the next day, they immediately moved the entire operation out to a country club because of what's going on. And these two FBI agents and their 75,000 texts, and 75% of them the DOJ won't even give them to Congress. And these little Congress people sit there like potted plants. Oh, why don't you give us the stuff? Why don't you? I mean, here we are a year into this administration, and Congress still doesn't have the information it's requesting from the Department of Justice. I mean, what a pathetic.
Oh, did you know? I hear that Jeff Sessions has an armed guard outside his door. He's surrounded by the swamp monsters, and they want to take him out. That's what they want to do. And we got to expose this is red pilling. This has to do with Fusion GPS, which also I think has a slight to do with what happened with the standoff. Is there something to do with the selling of 20%? Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama facilitated the biggest treasonous crime I think in history of our country. 20% of our uranium they authorized to be sold to our enemies, the Russians. So and she paid for it, and she paid a Northwest law firm, Perkins Coie, to hire Fusion GPS to hire a English, British agent, 007, MI6 guy, to write up using information from Russia to make up this whole dossier to say that Donald Trump did something he never did. And it's completely fraudulent. It was all meant to try to attack Donald Trump. It was opposition research to take out Trump during the campaign. And they put forth it to the secret court called the FISA court in order to get them to grant a secret warrant so that they could spy on the entire Trump campaign leading up to and after he got elected in Trump Tower.
We don't know who they spied on because they haven't released any of that information either. But we do know that they used the dossier to get these warrants to spy on somebody and then spy on others. And we have a total surveillance state now where there is no privacy and everything that you do is watched and
but why are they above the law? Why is it okay for them to sell 20%? And then they had a kickback where they're sending, Russians were sending, I think it was $145 million to the Clinton crime families foundation.
That foundation, the Clinton Foundation,
which is a money laundering scheme.
Is a swamp of its own. And the degree to which the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation had protection from the highest levels of the FBI is just a scandal. This whole thing is a scandal. You think back to Watergate, this famous scandal, which is basically a bunch of people trying to break into an office to get something.
Yeah, this is
and
like
here you have,
times worse.
Multiple agencies of the government, all rotten at the top, lying to Congress, lying to the courts, it's just,
avoiding FOIA requests for Freedom of Information requests.
And yet, as this comes out, who has lost their job? Who has been held accountable?
Well, he's starting to. He got rid of Andy McCabe. I love that. Yeah. Right, like minutes before he could get his pension, they take him out. Rip the rug out for him. That was good. And they got rid of Tillerson, and they've gotten rid of Comey. So he started to drain the swamp, but it stinks from the head down. And apparently, it goes several levels down in the DOJ, in the State Department, in the CIA. And so the guy is. We just got to keep him in our prayers, and I do strongly believe.
But he could solve this. He could solve this in 10 seconds.
How?
He could say, okay, you appointed a special prosecutor. I want to appoint some special prosecutors. Let's have one. You think uranium one and the transfer of an interest in uranium one is a problem? Let's have a special prosecutor on that. You think that that the Hillary data destruction is a problem? Have a special prosecutor on that. Clinton Foundation a problem? And he has all this power. And instead of exercising the power, I just see the sinking in the tar pits and tweeting.
Well, see, here's what I think's happening. I think let's follow your line of inquiry. So he appoints these special counsels, and he finds all this corruption and gets enough for. Now, then what happens after they find all this corruption? Check out some very interesting executive orders. There's a very interesting executive order. If you're still watching the show and you're not afflicted with a terrible disease, Trump derangement syndrome, and you still retain a modicum of an open mind, check out the executive order dated December 21st, 2017, and which is freezing the assets of all people around the world, declaring a state of emergency or state of whatever. Anyway, freezing the assets of those guilty of crimes against humanity. Check that out. Then we had a very interesting one on March 1st, which was further opening up or changing the laws for who can be, I thought it was, you read it, so it doesn't have anything with broadening the purview of who can be tried in a military trial?
It's nothing significant.
What did they do with Ethel Rosenberg when they tried them?
It was a criminal trial. They had a grand jury, an indictment.
That was before they had crooked judges.
Crooked judges can only go so far. Okay, when there's an indictment, if they, how hard is it to win a criminal case when the person goes online seeking information about how to destroy evidence that's been subpoenaed by the FBI.
And then destroys it.
And it's all admitted. It's
with bleach bit and hammers.
Any U.S. attorney with a pulse could prosecute and get a jury to
Yeah,
convict
but
these
if
people.
everybody's swamp monsters that are in the courts, then they'll slow walk it
Okay, but
until
you're
he
the
has to
president.
run for re-election
You're
in
the president of the United States.
2020.
You get to appoint 50 U.S. attorneys in 50 states. and
Not
they-
if the swamp monsters in the Senate won't approve them.
Well, that is a problem. The Senate is a real
When they
problem.
drain